Good morning, sunrise. Two new scams coming by Uber that I don't know if everybody knows about. Let me get that glare out of my eyes. The Uber Cash is gonna start taking cash rides. Here's a scam with that. Thank God they're allowing us to opt out, because it's going to be a problem, and I'm going to tell you how. You got to remember, there's going to be fees involved with these cash rides like any other ride. So how they're going to do it, let's say you get a cash ride for Uber and the customer pays $25, and they're going to take out their fees on top of their percentage. So now you're going to be negative, let's say $13. But here's where the scam kicks in. We know that Uber doesn't pay every driver the same. It's an algorithm. So granted, you might be negative 13, but another driver might be negative 14. Another driver might be negative 15. And your account's always going to be negative. You would be better off taking that cash, which I'm surprised Uber's doing this, because I think it's going to allow a lot more of the smart drivers to convert rides to private cash rides. Because think about it, you know the person has cash now. You could simply say, well, I'll do this off platform for, instead of 25, I'll do it for 24 and keep all the cash. So it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a plus for licensed private drivers, because now you're legally could do cash rides. But even if you're doing them under the table, you're saving money by not doing it on the Uber platform. So I'm actually shocked that Uber is going to start doing this. I don't know what areas yet. I'm pretty sure it won't hit Connecticut first, but probably will hit big places like California, New York, long before it hits Connecticut. But even people that do it the right way, let's say you want to be an honest Uber driver, I'm going to do it the way Uber wants me to do. I'm a diehard good guy. And mind you, I was like this in the beginning. I followed the rules. I wouldn't even take cash from people, because I was like, no, it's breaking the rules. I don't know what I was thinking back then, but I was new. And I just wanted to do things the right way. Mind you, I would have made so much more money if I would have just took cash back then. This was like in late 2017, early 2018. Why didn't I just take the cash? But I was trying to do things the right way, and I got screwed. Time and time again. Even back then when they were paying more, I've been screwed. And I was 100% full-time driver back then. Wasn't part-time like I am now. Being honest with Uber will never get you the amount of pay you're worth. And I get it. We live in a capitalist society, and I understand they have to make a profit. What I don't understand is the algorithm not treating each driver equally. And if you don't believe me, if you have a friend or a neighbor that also does rideshare, match your apps up. Match your phones up one day and wait for a ping. You guys will get different offers. It might only be $1 off one time, but there's times in a day where it'll be extremely different. Where one driver will only get offered base pay and another driver will get offered $7. I don't even know what base pay is. I'm guessing it's like $3.50 something with Uber. It's a scam in my mind because they're not treating drivers the same. So now when you start doing Uber cash rides, like I said, some drivers' account are going to be -13, some are going to be -14, -15. Then when you try to start doing rides to try to make that money up, now they're playing with your money. You're never going to be able to keep track now, because now you're getting actual rides with cash rides, so now they're playing with your money. Bad mistake. I'm going to opt out. And here's something else I learned. I just recently learned this. Occasionally you see where Uber tries to get you to do a software update. Every time you do a software update, it'll automatically opt you in to something you previously had opted out of, like Uber Pet or Uber Teen. If you were previously opted out of those, sometimes it'll automatically opt you back in because you did the software update. That's why I no longer do the software updates. And if it was just a software update, it would allow you access to do it anytime. It's only certain times a day that pops up, if you notice. They're trying to get you to do it right then and there so they could opt you back in, and guaranteed when the cash ride thing takes effect in your state, you're automatically going to be opted into it. Even me, I'm going to automatically be opted into it until you go and opt out of it. Shady. Let's not even call it a scam. Let's just call it shady. Very shady. This is why I'm taking the steps to be a licensed private driver, because there's no way I'm going to be doing those for Uber. Cash rides. When I could do cash for myself and keep all the money. Especially when I know they have cash. And I'll stay opted out, but guaranteed I'll get some people that'll know about it and they're gonna ask. And I'm gonna be like, oh, do you have the cash, the full amount for cash? This is another thing. Uber is gonna allow you to take partial payments. For example, let's say the ride is $25, but the passenger only has $20. They say they're gonna still pay you the difference, but that's minus the fees. How are you gonna keep track of that? Very hard to keep track of. And then if you get a tip on top of the cash for the ride, and let's say they give you $27 for the $25 ride, and you put $27 in by accident, Uber's keeping all that money. They're not going to give you back the difference for a tip. Guaranteed they're going to keep it all. And they're going to take out a portion of that and be like, no, it's fees. There'll be $2 more in fees that you'll have to pay instead of getting that $2 tip. Very, very shady. And you got to remember, this is Uber. This is the grandfather of shadiness. Lyft didn't even know how to be shady until they started following Uber. When Lyft first came out, they were supposed to be the honest competitor. They were supposed to be different. They came out, remember, they were doing a pink mustache. There was pink cars everywhere. They were going to do things differently than Uber. Lyft turned out to be a little mini Uber in a way of shadiness. And again, for example, my neighbor said, I haven't had a challenge in months. And I had 2 challenges recently on the Lyft side because I've been driving more on Lyft. And he was like, I haven't got none. So they treat every driver different. Both apps treat every driver different. Why can't there be a rideshare app that treats everybody the same, pays every driver the same? There should be a way to make the algorithm treat everyone the same, because they can't make their extra profits treating everybody the same. When they know this driver is desperate, and they know this driver over here isn't as desperate, he's more of a cherry picker, we have to offer him more, but because he's in a hot area, we got to give him slightly more. The shadiness is going to go on for the rest of the only 5 years we have left in rideshare driving. We only have 5 more years left. 2030 is it. It may be sooner, but that's when they're expecting it to happen, where the automation 100% kicks in. Even though Elon's stock's going down, he's not selling as many Teslas, trust that Elon will have things figured out by 2030. He'll have things figured out by 2030. He's saying next year. It's not going to be next year. It's no way. There's too many problems. But by 2030, I believe he will. To the point where all those people who were talking bad about Tesla will be back on the bandwagon. There'll probably be a new model out or something, and he's going to get those robo-taxis going because look who he's best friends with. He has the next 4 years. Rideshare drivers will be almost gone by then. And it's either you adapt or die, meaning you might have to buy a robo-taxi of your own just to survive, if you want to stay in this market. Even if you're doing private driving, even if you're doing deliveries, you might still want to be in transportation. You got to adapt or die. That might mean all of it. You might have to do, private driving. You might have to get a robo-taxi. You might have to do some deliveries. I'm even going to have to adapt. I'm thinking about doing deliveries. Even as much as I don't want to do it, I have to adapt or die. It's that simple. You gotta adapt or die. There's no way around it. So the taking the Uber Cash and the people don't have the full amount, I really don't like, because how are you going to keep track of that? And if people are going to get their change in the form of Uber Cash or whatever they call that, Uber Bucks or whatever, which some people aren't going to like. Yeah, you can keep your own cash, but why do all that when you could just take the cash yourself, distribute the change, and keep the whole $25 in that example? The smart drivers know what I'm talking about. The smart drivers know that they could convert those. Even if somebody just asks, well, do you do cash rides? Even if I opt out, you're going to get that one person that's going to be like, oh, I heard Uber takes cash now. No, I take cash now. I know Uber does take cash, but I opted out of that. I take cash. See what I'm saying? I'm actually surprised Uber would even consider doing it for that reason. And do I believe Lyft's probably going to try to get on the bandwagon with that one? They might. They decided to stay away from the shared ride, which is smart on Lyft's point. Very, very smart Lyft for not doing the shared ride stuff, because I get bombarded with shared rides constantly. This morning, I woke up, and this is another thing I don't like about Uber, and the whole map was red, on fire. It's like that day when I went to Hartford, and I got a little bit excited. I was like, okay, I'm going to get some surge. Even a surge is a scam. And I'll tell you what I mean. The ride offers, they're paying about the same amount. You'll see $2, $3 surge, but they're paying the same amount that if there was no surge at all. You know what I'm talking about? The offers look the same. So they're telling you they're adding the $3, but yet they're offering you the same amount they would without the surge. So best believe the passengers are paying the surge, and then the surge amount that they're charging the passenger and paying the driver is different. Why? They could get a good $20 extra out of the passenger and only pay the driver a $5 surge, and it ain't even really a $5 surge because they're offering this almost the same amount they would without the surge. It's more like a $2 surge on top of what the regular pay is instead of a $5 surge, if that makes sense. They'll show you $5, but you're really only getting an additional $2. Let's just say shady. Let's not even say scam. Let's just call it shady. That's what I'm getting this morning. It was lit up on fire, orange and red, all over the map. And I'm like, oh man, this looks like when I'm in Hartford. And even in Hartford, they're getting more surge in the mornings, but it's the same thing. They're not getting what they think they are. You know? And there's certain days, I don't want to discourage people to think, well, if you're still doing it, you could still make money. If you're smart. That's the problem. If you're smart, you can still make money. Yesterday, I made about $150 in about 5 hours. I don't do the active and whatever hours. I just do the total time I'm out on the road. 5 hours, I made about $150. And then I did 2 cash rides on top of that, which brought me to $170 in only 5 hours. It was a busy Monday. But you're not going to get that every day. I did do that consistently for like a week thanks to Lyft, not thanks to Uber. Uber was playing too many games, and now we got the standard and advantage mode. We're not getting paid the same. You know, my neighbor tells me, oh, I'm making more money with Uber. Well, I'm making more money with Lyft because the algorithm plays games. And for you part-time, full-time drivers that only drive one app, seriously something wrong with you guys. And I don't say this to be mean. There's seriously something wrong with you guys, because with 2 apps, it's a game and it's a struggle some days. If you only got 1 app, I feel sorry for you, because you got to deal with it feels more like your employee, because you're dealing with only 1 app and you got too much downtime. I have less downtime. I literally turned the apps off today because they were playing games, but I'm getting offers back to back. I just took the time out to talk to you guys, but I'm getting offers because I have 2 apps. I couldn't imagine. Well, I can't imagine, because when I started, I was only Uber. But I didn't know any better. It was like the ignorance of being a new driver. And if you're doing these rental programs, you're pigeonholed, is that the word for it, into one app. I don't like that. You should be able to do a rental program and use both apps, because, and I hear they throttle back your rides when you do the rental programs. They actually throttle you back, so you're not even getting the good offers. This is what I'm hearing. Hit me in the comments if you do a rental program and you don't feel like you're getting less rides than when you had your own car. Hit me in the comments, because I think if you have your own cars, you're making more for that reason too. It's not just because you have a rental, they're throttling you back. And another thing I think Lyft does, when they give you a challenge, they throttle you back. When they think you're getting too close too fast to finishing that challenge, they throttle you back and stop sending you offers. And you have no way to prove it at all. I'm not going to call it a scam anymore. Let's just call it shady. The game of rideshare. Now, why do we still do it? First of all, I'm only part-time, and I know one of my commenters like to say that that's an insult to drivers, saying I'm part-time, because it insinuates that the pay is not bad. I don't see how, but the pay sucks. But I make it work for me, and making $160 part-time is better than any part-time job out there with the flexibility that I have. Hands down. You cannot find, and hit me in the comments if you have a part-time job without furthering your education, keyword, where you could just, based on a high school employment, working part-time, per day, you can make more than $160 in 5 to 6 hours. There's no part-time job like that. Let's even say 130 in 4 hours. The average part-time job out here, even before taxes, is only gonna pay like maybe 60 to 80 bucks tops per day. And that could be a full 8 hours. So that's why we do it. We're getting our cash up front before taxes. But even if you deduct taxes, I'm still at least 100 a day after taxes. You can even take out gas. I'm only putting in $10 in my car. I know some of you put in more, but I'm only at $10 a day in gas. Not factoring repairs, expenses, all that, because that's like more of a monthly expense or a weekly expense, not necessarily a daily expense. So you could still come out here part-time. This is why I say it's a good part-time, because if you have a full-time job and you add this into the mix, you still get your income tax back every year. Like me, I got a lot of write-offs, so I didn't pay anything in tax, but if I had another job, I would have got an income tax on top of that. It wouldn't have been a bad deal. You know, it's not bad to only use this as a part-time hustle. Now, I do other things to supplement not having a regular job, but having a regular job, as people like to call it, even if it's a regular part-time job, and then you do this, it's not a bad deal. You know, it's not a bad deal. It offsets what you're not making at your job. Because now, even if you only make let's say $60 to $80 a day because you work part of the day somewhere else. That could take care of your car expenses, and your job could take care of your living. But Uber doing this taking cash for rides, it's not good for anyone. Not good for Uber. It can be good for smart private drivers. It can be. You could use it to your advantage. But I don't think that's going to be most drivers. I think this is going to hurt them. Their account's going to be negative. God forbid, if, like they said, if they get a tip on top of, in a $25 ride example, where a passenger pays $25, and let's say they gave you a $5 tip, and you just put in $30, Uber's taking the whole $30 and basing what they gotta take out based on that $30. Now you're screwed. They can even tell you the tips included in there. You won't know the difference because you got expenses. See what I'm saying? If they say, well, I didn't get my tip, they'll be like, they'll break it down so it looks like you got your tip minus expenses. Uber's not dumb. It'll look like you still got your $5 tip. So if you put in 30, took 30, they know the ride only costs 25. They're gonna make it look like you still got your $5 tip, and they're just gonna take out additional $5 for expenses. How are you gonna prove them wrong? See what I'm saying? Well, I'm gonna get back at it. You know, I only do 3 hours in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, so I'm gonna knock out these 3, go home, have some lunch, maybe take a shower, and complain about the app some more later. If you haven't already, subscribe, like, comment, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Thank you.